What's good, everybody? Week 10 of the Hustle and Grow Producer Challenge starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Kentucky Derby. Let's go. Let's get it.
This is a Krush audio production. Yo, Krush, drop that shit.
What's good, everybody? It's Friday night. You know what that means. Week 10. I can't believe it. We only have a couple weeks left. What's good, everybody? My name is Ron. I am Krush Audio. I'm Grammy-nominated producer and engineer, instructor. And I reside in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, baby. Where the country music is rather strong. But that's not the only music that exists in Nashville, Tennessee, and we'll start there. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the show. I want to say hello again. My name is Ron, and I am Krush Audio. Been here in Nashville since 2017, and I was reflecting back on that a little while ago, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can't believe how much has changed and how much like my perspective has changed creatively and you know, just like my skill set, how I've sort of matured, if you will, in certain areas of my profession, and it got me to thinking about, like, you know, I know we're talking about workflow and everything like that. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the show. I see a few are already checking in. Robbie, what's good, brother? Oh, let's see. Who do we got here? Nephew. I'm not sure who this is, but anything that has the word chronic at the end of it, I'm good with it. What's good? Nate is in the house. Going up tonight, no doubt. I'm glad everybody is here. Chody. Oh, what's good, man? What's good, brother? Saying hello to everyone. I want to encourage you, you know, when we start talking about things that we're doing. Oh man, I'm glad you're here. Rollo, what's good, brother? I'm glad you're stopping by. I'm glad to meet some new people and discuss audio. You know, we're talking about, yeah, it's popping tonight, right? Yeah, we're talking about workflow. And so I would love for you to chime in. You know, we have some regulars that are here. We have some new people that are here. So please get acclimated with each other and feel free to ask questions in the chat. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to sort of like shine a spotlight on what I can do as a producer, although I will do live demonstrations and I'll do whatever is required to sort of, you know, enhance or illustrate or maybe spark some ideas and conversation about what we're talking about. But ideally, it's driven by us having discussion, you know, and me showing you some things as well along the way. So, anyway, it got me thinking about all those things over the course of the last several years. And it got me thinking about, where did your journey begin as a producer, as a creative? For those of you that are new in the chat, that are just stopping in, what is it that you do? Are you an artist? Are you a producer? And if if yes to artists, then let us know what you're interested in. This is ideally a community. I can tell you that the people I do know that are on the chat and that are here regularly are highly skilled in what they do. And it would be amazing to have you guys hook up. Novice, okay, that's good too. Make sure that if I am talking about some things or the discussion goes in an area where it's like, okay, I don't understand what they're talking about, make sure you let us know, because there are literally lots of things that we will end up learning from you just because of your new perspective. Sometimes that's the greatest thing in the world, you know. Um, so, oh no, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. Of course. Of course. Wanted to share that with the broadcast. So, um, just to give everybody a tour around the room that's new, this is what the studio looks like. And in the room, I've got a Novation Mini Nova synth. Over here, the synth that you're looking at right now is called a Hydra synth. It's a 76 key synthesizer. On top of that, the rack above, I don't know if I have the greatest picture of it. Yeah, you can see it here. This is the Arturia Key Lab 61. This is a MIDI controller. The Hydra synth also is an analog synth, but it also is a MIDI controller. And that means that, it could play all the instruments in the box. Like, for instance, this is a synthesizer called the Matrix 12V. There are a bunch of famous synthesizers and keyboards that I have in this Arturia pack. But, just to explain for someone who's a novice, this MIDI controller is controlling the sounds inside of here. So whenever I touch the controller, it's triggering this sound inside the box. And that's what MIDI controllers do. So at any rate, just wanted to give you a little tour around the room. Also, we have the machine. The machine is what you see right here in the screen. And this guy is basically also a MIDI controller because it communicates by plugging into the computer. But it is triggering different drum kits and also different sounds, just like a synthesizer. It could sort of work in the same capacity as a synthesizer. So that's the tour around the room. I'm using a Universal Audio Apollo Heritage X4 interface. That's just a fancy name for a pretty cool interface that does some cool things. And what's the interface do? The interface does what for us? The interface is what converts analog to digital. And do we know what that means? Analog to digital simply means like I'm speaking into this microphone, right? This is coming from source. It's coming from me. And I'm an analog source. I'm an instrument. My voice is an instrument. Your voice is an instrument. So you can also put a microphone in front of another instrument, such as a guitar or an amplifier, a cabinet for a keyboard or for a guitar amp. Okay? All of those microphones are recording analog sound. But there has to be some way that we can get the sound into the computer here in the form of audio. And that's what the interface does. The interface translates that. And basically, what's good, Smurfy? Great to have you in the building. We have some new visitors here tonight. It's been pretty awesome. It's lit. I'm excited about it. How have you been, my dude? I hope you're doing well. We're based, a lot of us are based in Nashville, Tennessee. Where are you located? Let us know. Let us know where you're from and what role you play in the music business as you pop in. Because that's super important for us to get to know each other. That's the point of this, right? Music business. I'm spelling super quick, guys. Daytona Beach, dope. Dope. I have relatives right in Daytona. Well, actually, to be honest with you, it was the New Smyrna area. That's pretty close, right? That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, so the topic for tonight, and now that you've gotten the studio tour, the whirlwind tour of the room, here's a look of everything. Pretty dope shot, right? I've been working on this shit, guys. I've been working on getting my game together here and, like, doing something pretty cool, making it look cool, right? So, honestly, the aesthetic is dope and having a cool vibe. But all jokes aside, I want to be able to have you to have access to see different things, especially when I'm playing various instruments or we're explaining something. So, okay, workflow. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Workflow. What does it mean? And what's the philosophy? Okay. I'll put the question on the screen. I met Smurf at, I'm looking in the comment section. Get back to Smurf. I met him at SAE, which is the school here in Nashville for audio engineering, much like a Full Sail University is in Orlando, for those of you that are from Florida. Pretty well known school, and there are several of them. There's one in Nashville. I think there's one in excuse me, Miami, Atlanta, Chicago, and so on and so forth. So we were doing these producer meetups at SAE, who was gracious enough to allow me to, and my buddy Wishmaster to, who's also, Wish is a famous producer, well-known guy. Anyway, we would do these producer meetups, and that's sort of what we're trying to mimic here. We're trying to do it virtually, but have producers check in from around, and I'm going to guide you through a certain curriculum of things we're going to talk about, and hopefully it spurs on conversation. And tonight is workflow. That can mean a lot of things, but for us guys who are producers or we're making a track, doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, the goal of the exercise, the goal of the mental exercise is what? Is to create a track, is to create music, create something that was inspired, that you came up with, that you were creatively inspired by, and all of this shit right here, all of this stuff didn't get in your way of getting your creativity out quickly. That's workflow. All right. And the faster and more dialed in your workflow can be, the more effective you are as a creative, the more confident you'll be in different co-write situations, different situations just with your homies. If you have somebody that's aspiring to be an artist, let's say, okay? Let's say you're at the beginning stage. First advice would be link up with other people that are your people. I was in a room one time, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in a room one time with some heavy creative people that are much bigger in the music industry than I was at that time, or even I am now. Okay? And, fortunately for me, I've never been intimidated in those rooms. I always feel like they're just people just like us, and we all love music. So at the end of the day, there's common ground there. We have things to talk about. I've never felt intimidated in those rooms. And that's a good thing. But getting back to, they told me the one time, though, the one guy said was like, there'll be people that would come up to me and be like, hey, I'm a beginning, I don't know anything about any music production software, but I want to make a beat with you. Well, what's that mean? In the songwriting industry, it's like, hey, if you're a number one hit songwriter and you have some dude that just moved to town and came cold off the street and just bumps into this number one hit songwriter and is like, oh yeah, we should get together and we should write songs. Guess what? That's going nowhere. And yeah, there's the 1% chance that maybe something happens. There are those dream stories. But let's live in the world of reality, shall we? Let's live in the world of probabilities. And the probabilities are you're more likely to be successful that by looking into the mirror, understanding, like the gentleman did here that came on, that's on here watching us. Hey, look, I'm going to be at this level for only a period of time. I recognize I'm at a beginning level, but I do know some things, and I can provide value with people who are also just embarking on this journey right now. So there's no shade on being at a beginning level. Same methodology and thought process applies toward somebody who's just making their way. They're a few years into this thing. They're 5 years into this thing. You know, the biggest frustration I see is with people who go, like, maybe they started really getting involved in dialing in their craft when they were, like, let's say early, 15, 16. They go to college or some kind of vocational school, and they even learn about music there. They get a degree, and they feel like, you know, they earned that degree. They put in a significant amount of years at this point, and they feel like shit should just happen for them right now. Not so fast, my friend. Okay? That's not the way it works. And again, living in the world of probabilities, how it works is, you go to those vocational schools, you go to those places in order to network. Okay, yes, you're going to learn. But in this day and age, it's a lot different than when I went to school, right? In this day and age, you're going there to network. And if you are not the kind of person that is going to take advantage of that networking opportunity, because look at the scroller on the screen. I can promise you, if you're involved in audio and you're somewhere around the age of 16, 17, 18 right now, and you're just getting ready to cross into making a decision for college or work, some sort of job straight out of high school, or go to a vocational school. The vocational school is going to start around 30 to 40 grand, and the college and those vocational schools will go above that. The high schools are going to the universities that have the programs in music and audio. I'm speaking specifically to this. I'm not throwing shade on them. I'm just giving you the real. Okay, those schools are going to charge you 80 to 100 grand, maybe 200 grand. Depends on where you're going and what kind of education you're getting. Try and look up right now. Somebody fact check me. Look up a 4-year degree from the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida, and let me know what it costs. Let me know what a master's degree costs at, or what 4 years cost at Middle Tennessee State University, for an out-of-state student. You want to go the cheap route? Let me know what it costs for a 4-year university, for a student to go 4-year university to a state school. So, meaning you live in Florida, you want to go to Florida State, you want to go to University of Florida. Miami's a private school. They could charge whatever the fuck they want, right? So my point is, before you get involved in all of that, you need to have a fundamental. If you're not going to take advantage of networking at that in that environment, especially in the vocational school environment, the college experience is a little different because it's a whole university experience. You're supposedly getting a well-rounded education. You're having a 4-year experience. It's maturity. All that stuff happens during those times. But if you're going the route of, hey, I'm fixated on music and entertainment. And more specifically, I want to be a beat maker. I want to be a track builder. Fuck going and spending all that money. Look up a guy, shameless plug. You'll see me dropping things all the time. I have tickers running for one-on-one trainings. I have special trainings coming up right now that are one-on-one trainings that I'm going to be charging upwards around $5,000 to $7,000. But you're going to spend 16 weeks with me, and you're going to get every single aspect of the recording business, from the core technologies of running DAWs, Logic Pro, Ableton Live, Studio One, Pro Tools, exterior softwares, Akai MPC, Machine Studio, Native Instruments, NKS Series synths. You're going to learn about miking techniques, and you're going to learn about real-world studio application, how to be a producer, meaning how to handle artists when they're in the room, the psychology of all of that, and it's going to be drilled into you in a one-on-one environment. And forget about me for a second, okay? Let's talk about anybody who's offering a hands-on kind of one-on-one experience in conjunction with what you can just resource online. You really need somebody to point you in that direction. And more to my point, you also need to grow, ideally, with a group of people. That's the benefit of those schools. If you do take advantage of the networking aspect, you end up racking up talent and identifying talent. And this is what I suggest you do if I'm talking to somebody right now who is working or toward a degree in one of those environments right now. I would suggest you focus highly on networking, identifying the people who do the things that you either do not want to do or that you do not do well, so they allow you to build a team of people around you. Here's a scenario. Let me give you an example. You are focused on one thing. The one thing you know how to do is program on a machine like this. When you start hitting it, right? When you start hitting that machine and you start playing this guy, right? When you start playing that thing, you are the master of that thing. There are a few people online that just are absolute masters of that particular instrument. Well, allow them to be a master of that, and then you find somebody who's a master of photography and videography, and then you find another person who's a master at video editing, and then you find the artist or the group of artists that vibe with the sound you're creating. All of a sudden, you got a powerful team, and that can materialize in a matter of a several week period. I've seen people bond together and have strong creative relationships at the end of a week, 2 week period. You multiply that by 10, 16 to 20 weeks. Yeah, you'll start having some cohesion. And that's the way you take advantage of that model. Now, what happens if you don't have those things? You're saying to yourself, nah, I'm just going to go onto YouTube and I'm going to study a bunch of tutorials and I'm going to educate myself that way. And I'm just going to make beats. That's it. Well, you have to develop a workflow. And whether you know it or not, it's going to add to your creativity. So, workflow in that circumstance, we're talking about What do I need to execute to have a track that is something that's tangible that can be created to? I'm trying to respond to some of your questions too. I appreciate it, man. Look at all the responses, man. Oh, thank you, bro. Yeah, and consume the content wherever it's free, and feel free to ask questions on here and ask about the things that you're interested in. That's the most important thing about being engaged in a community. That's what you have the opportunity for here, right? I may not be the best at this or that or this or that, but I am a resource of information just because of the experience I have and the experience I've acquired. So ask questions away on here, and even if I don't answer them directly, I'll come back and I will respond to each of your comments. Okay? So we need to have drums. We need to have a bass. We need to have what? Some sort of melodic idea, some sort of chord structure. Okay? Depending on genre, right? I mean, we know we've heard trap music that just has a bell lick or some kind of lead sound like, let's see, what do we got here on the screen here? Pretty sound, right? Maybe I want to start with a melody of some sort. But you have to have some sort of idea of where you're going to start from. I thought it was interesting, like, do you start with the drums? We've talked about this before. You settle in your pattern. You figure out what it is that you like best to do, but understand that you have to have the foundation of the music. That's the drums. Once you get the drums established, then, and maybe the bass is going along with that. Let's do an example of that. Let's try that. Okay? So we're going to pull up some stuff here. Let's just pick a tempo and go here. You heard the kit that I had pulled up. That's pretty cool. We'll work with that. Right? Okay. So let's see what we got here. One pattern. 4 bars, so I'll get some drums going. Simple. We got claps. I'll duplicate the pattern. fix that little flub. There we go. Duplicate again. Now I got bass and drums going. Let's get some hi-hat happening. Just pick something. Added a couple little things. Next, this hi-hat. And I'll just try out patterns. I want to get that in there. There it is. That's it. Simple. And maybe we'll add some swag to that and we'll alter the pitch of this hi-hat. I'm gonna hit the auto button. And I'm gonna hit this button and I'm gonna actually change the pitch of the hi-hat as we go over time, right? I gotta figure out where I did that quick one. And whatever you're feeling is what's going to come out, and it's going to, you run it. You got the loop going. Now I've already got some kind of creative inspiration happening. Right? Hey, make sure, especially for the new people, it would help a lot if you like this and you followed the channel. We come out with a new piece of the curriculum each week. We're working on some new stuff for you, but this is a 12-week set, and certainly going to have more stuff going on in the future. But make sure you follow the Krush Audio YouTube channel. It helps a whole lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're cooking, right? This is my workflow. So what would I add next? I've got these 4 little patterns here with the drums. I may sauce those up a little more. But I've got something happening here, right? And I got the music popping. So now I got the groove happening. Now I could go in here and say, okay, I can figure out what key that kick is, that 808 is in. That's my first goal. Establish what key it's in. Okay? So man, some sort of lead sound that's just sort of like a repetitive rhythm that's sort of going around what the rest of the group is doing. Okay, and we'll record that. 1, seems like a fairly boring pattern right there, right? Here's where I know to add a little bit of sauce there. You know what I mean? Let's make something more out of that pattern. And how can we do that? I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite plugins, which is Shaper Box. Okay. We're going to take a look and just cycle through some of these and see what they sound like, okay? Now that's right off the rip. Now I could go in there and alter this guy, right? By each section of the frequency range. But let's just keep it simple. We just want to blend some of this out. We're going to take the master mix down. That went from being sort of boring it just fits better, right? There's an example right there of a workflow. Now maybe that doesn't suit you. Maybe you don't want to start with drums, right? Maybe you don't like that workflow. Maybe you say, hey, look, Krush, I'm old school, man. I play instruments. I do it the old school way, the real way. I play piano. I play acoustic guitar, and I bang out the chords and figure out what's going on. I don't know how to do all this programming and fancy shit that you're doing and showing off, right? I just pick a loop. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sort of build it like that. Let me show you that workflow. Okay, right? I have Splice too, just like everybody else who has access to or some kind of sample-based library. And I could say, okay, I'm not gonna do any of this shit. Let me mute the pattern I just made, and that's a different one. Let's say we want to just start by picking some drums here. We're just going to say, hey, Splice, give me drums. And on here we can choose and say, hey, we just want loops. And it'll even tell us what key the drum loop's in. I want drums, guys. Drum loops. There we go. And I could cycle through all these and quickly get inspired by something. So I'm introducing you to different workflows, right? Maybe I want to get inspired this way. That's sort of cool. What's that at? 80? Okay. All right, cool. Let's put that in here. Let's go here and we'll turn him off. And we're going to say this is at 80 BPM, right? Okay. Cool. Here you go. All right. And on Ableton now, I don't, this is a little trick you can do. If you have Ableton, I know that I wanted to warp this at the same tempo that it was going to be at, so it's right on the money, and that's what I did. But I can, in Ableton, you can change this, but that's not the point. The point is that now let's say I'm in a different situation. Forget that first one I just made. Let's say we're in a situation where, hey, I want to use my skills because my skill set lies in the area of me being an instrumentalist, and I want to be able to write that way. I want to just be able to provide myself with some drums to go in the background so that maybe I can get inspired by the groove. So you go through and you select all this different stuff, and you're like, okay, I found the sound I like. I got something that inspired me. Let's see. Let's fuck around with this. Okay, so now I bring this in. Maybe it's something as simple as just a piano, right? And maybe that's how you get your song written. And maybe that's how you get down. Maybe that's how you end up figuring out how you're going to create your next masterpiece. The next thing that you're proud of. Maybe it inspires you to create something great. I hope some of this stuff was helpful for you guys. I encourage you, again, please, if you haven't, follow Krush Audio and follow us and subscribe to the Krush Audio YouTube channel. We appreciate it. I hope this was super helpful. I also hope you have a great... It's Cinco de Mayo this weekend, right? So, Monday, right? Kentucky Derby for all my people. What's good, Nate? Alexis, Doski, CODMG, the whole crew, Looney. I'm sure that's a big deal happening tomorrow night. And on Monday, it's going to be Cinco de Mayo, so there'll be a bunch of people consuming margaritas wherever you are at your local establishment, so be safe out there. And we will see you not next Friday, but the Friday after. Those of you new to the chat, I encourage you to reach out to www.crushaudio.net. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Please feel free to sign up, and you'll get notified every time we're going live. You won't have to worry about when it happens if you subscribe to the channel, or if you just simply go to this website right here, crushaudio.net. That would be amazing. And I hope you have a great, great weekend. See everybody. Peace. Thank you.